Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update video today, feedback video. Go through some of the comments on recent videos, see what has been happening in the comment section. Fair bit of debate in recent times. There's been lots of talk about food here in Spain, people talking about their favorite dishes, been lots of talk about language. We mentioned that verb the other day, coger, and the different uses around the world for that particular verb. Here in Spain, as we know, it's not a taboo word, but it is in some other Latin American countries. The food debate, as I mentioned, was raging in the comment section. Lots of people talking about paella and their bad experiences with that particular dish. We spoke a little bit yesterday about the origin of the word paella because somebody said that they thought that the word came from para ella, the shortened version, paella. That didn't seem to be the case. As I said yesterday, the origins of the word are related to a dish, and lots of people talking about how much they love that particular dish, and lots of people talking about how they hate that particular dish here in Spain. But no doubt about it, it is one of the most popular dishes in this country, the rice dish paella, but we're not going to speak about it today. Now, as you can see, I'm on the couch again today. I was doing these videos outside there for a while, but it's too cold to be doing that at the moment. As I mentioned the other day, we're in a bit of a cold snap here in Spain, or at least in this part of Spain, and the north of Spain is fairly snowed under at the moment. And believe it or not, we're expecting snow for this part of Madrid in coming days. If that happens, of course, I'll take the camera outside and show you guys firsthand what it looks like here when it snows. And I still have memories of the last time it snowed here. I'll put a couple of photos up here now so you can have a look at what this particular part of Madrid looks like when it snows. But the last time we had heavy snow here was about 10 years ago, and to be honest, it doesn't snow here very often. If you want to see snow, you have to go to the mountain range close to Madrid, about 60 kilometers north. There you can be guaranteed snow for most of the winter months, but here where I am in Madrid, we're about 600 meters above sea level, and it doesn't snow very often. But according to predictions, it's going to snow heavily in the next few days, and the weather forecasters are predicting the snowstorm of the century. So we'll wait and see if that happens or not. And to be honest, I hope that it doesn't, because in my experience here, snow is more of an inconvenience than a convenience. And the last time it took the snow about 2 weeks to disappear, and the footpaths or the sidewalks outside were icy and very dangerous during those 2 weeks. But anyway, we'll see if it does indeed snow here in the next few days. Now, a quick update on the health situation. Unfortunately, as I mentioned yesterday, more and more restrictions are starting to come into place. Various autonomous communities have followed the lead of Catalonia and announced more severe restrictions. Valencia, La Rioja, Aragon, as I mentioned yesterday, Extremadura as well. Madrid, of course, is shutting down various health districts and certain small towns in the Madrid community where the incidence rate has crept above 400. There hasn't really been a lot of data reporting going on over the last few weeks because a lot of people have been on holidays, people taking time off, and that has led to a few politicians here in Madrid coming out and saying that they don't really know what the true situation is regarding COVID-19 in this particular part of Spain at the moment because they don't have real-time data in their hands. Today, of course, is the 6th of January, and it's a nationwide public holiday, I think. I don't think there are too many parts of Spain that don't have a public holiday today. I think it is one of these national public holidays. Of course, as we know, there are some places around Spain that have different holidays on different days, but I think the 6th of January is still a national public holiday. But again, I could be wrong, so if I am, please let me know in the comment section. So a public holiday today, and I imagine that there's not too much going on around the country. People celebrating the arrival of the three kings, children opening their presents, and families sitting down to a nice meal and a nice piece of roscón de reyes for afternoon tea. So starting tomorrow, the country will slowly start to get back to normal, but it probably won't be until the 11th of January that the country starts to get back to full speed, if that's possible nowadays with the pandemic going on. Now, we also mentioned yesterday that the health minister came out and said that there's no plans for a nationwide lockdown again. All of the autonomous communities or the regions in Spain are going to handle the restrictions on their own. There's going to be different restrictions in different places, which is what has been happening up until now. What you can do in a city like Madrid may differ to what you can do in a city like Toledo, of course, because they're different autonomous communities. And Valencia today, for example, has announced that they're going to keep their borders closed until the 31st of January. So that is what we're currently living here in Spain, 17 autonomous communities and 17 sets of rules and regulations. Now, I also mentioned yesterday that the vaccination plan seems to have fallen behind schedule. This is apparently due to a logistics problem, a lack of coordination between the central governments and the autonomous communities, and also because of the long holiday period that we're currently in here in Spain. Lots of people, of course, take holidays at this time of the year, and that, of course, is slowing down that vaccination plan. And there's also talk that the army needs to be brought in to get the vaccination plan back on schedule. The army has something like 700 doctors and 200 or 300 nurses, and there is talk that they could set up vaccination points around the country or help the existing health centres with their vaccination plans. The Madrid government has also announced that they're going to start vaccinating in private hospitals and private health centres. They're not going to rely solely on the public system, and I'm sure that that's going to happen in other autonomous communities around the country as well. The initial plan that the government had was that everything was going to be coordinated through the national health system, but those plans now seem to have been thrown out the window given the fact that here in Spain it's the autonomous communities that control the hospitals and the health centres. So a little bit chaotic. Yesterday I mentioned that at this rate perhaps we're not going to see everybody vaccinated until 2028. I was joking, of course, but you could easily come to the conclusion that governments here in Spain are not taking this vaccine seriously. Now, there was a bit of disturbing news related to the unemployment situation here in Spain. I mentioned yesterday that something like 360,000 jobs have been lost over the last year due to the pandemic, something like 750,000 people still in furlough schemes, and the government has come out and said that they're trying to organise an extension to these furlough schemes, which was supposed to end at the end of this month, I think. Andalusia has also released some data saying that unemployment down there is currently around 24%. So the job situation here in Spain and the labour market not looking good, and with all of these new restrictions coming into place, there's obviously going to be more and more people put into furlough schemes or losing their jobs in coming months. The government has promised on numerous occasions that job creation is going to be one of their priorities in 2021, but again, they don't seem to be taking it very seriously. In fact, nobody's heard anything from the Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez or his deputy Pablo Iglesias since the end of 2020. They haven't been cited yet in 2021, so I don't know what they're waiting for, but no doubt they'll make an appearance next week when this holiday period is finally over. Now, to finish up, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there was lots of talk about food in the comment section, or there has been a big debate about food in recent times. Before that, there was a fair bit of debate going on about wine. Two of my favourite things, I'll be honest, food and wine. I love to eat, I love to drink, and Spain is a country that satisfies my needs in that regard. And there were a couple of dishes that popped up in the comment section that caught my attention. One was cocido madrileño, and the other one was callos. Now, if you're not familiar with cocido madrileño, it's a chickpea stew, a very popular dish here in Madrid. You can find it on the majority of menus del dia throughout the week. Normally there's a specific day that you can find cocido, and there's lots of different types of cocidos or stews around the country. You can find cocido montañés. I think there's even cocido andaluz. In Leon they have a dish called cocido maragato. So there's different cocidos around the country, but here in Madrid, of course, it's the cocido madrileño. People here in Madrid rave about this stew. They're always willing to tell you just how good it is, and no doubt if you live in Madrid or have been to Madrid, you have most likely tried the cocido madrileño. It's not one of my favorite dishes. Again, like paella, I don't go crazy for cocido madrileño. I eat it. If I go to my girlfriend's parents' house and cocido is on the menu, of course I'm going to eat it. But again, if I go and have a menú del dia and it's on the menu, I'm not going to order it. And the reason why it's not one of my favorite dishes is because it's just too heavy. I can't sit down nowadays and eat such a large, heavy meal with chickpeas, potatoes, meat, cabbage, and other things that seem to sit in my stomach for too long. And the other thing that was mentioned was callos, C-A-L-L-O-S. If you're not familiar with callos, it's tripe, and here in Madrid the most famous dish with callos is called callos a la madrileña. And basically what it is slow cooked tripe in a rich paprika-based sauce with chorizo, jamón, black pudding. It's not for the faint-hearted, but definitely worth trying if you like that type of thing. In fact, it's one of my father's favorite dishes. Whenever he comes to Madrid, he always has a plate or two of callos, but that's also due to the fact that he loves tripe, and he tries tripe basically everywhere he goes in the world. So cocido madrileño and callos a la madrileña, two dishes that no doubt you will have seen if you have been to Madrid, and definitely worth a try if you're planning to come to Madrid in the near future. On that note, I'll start to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.